lights out, trapped here in my room. No trace left here of you. Cold call, another person or two. Seems like I'm the only one home. Aligned with the sun, shadows on everyone. No reason to run, hide out inside. Just stay at home, so lost and alone. Be here, unknown, don't tell a soul. Bad taste, can't seem to get it out. Blank space where you shut my mouth. Filled yours with love to spit it out. I thought we wanted the same thing. Trust me, it's alright. Goodbye, now let me try to sleep. I don't care to say goodnight. It would be a lie, another fleeting dream. Trust me, it's alright. Goodbye, you never meant anything. You mean nothing to me. Just stay at home, so lost and alone. Be here, unknown, don't tell a soul. Been so down since you left, can't get out of this hole. Stay safe at home, so lost and alone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Touchline Talk on a Tuesday. It's so slightly delayed today. Apologies for that. I just had to fix something off screen, but we are all here now. Yes, so it's not normally. It's been normally at 2 o'clock for however many months. Sometimes I get a bit delayed because I was fixing something. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's all good. It's still around 2 o'clock, so don't worry about it, musty you bastard. Yeah. Hello. In today's show, there's only one thing really to talk about as the main event, and that is the defensive situation that is happening at City. It's not ideal. So what we're going to do today, or rather what we're going to try to do today, because I don't even know if I've got the answer, so you guys are going to have to help me a little bit here. We are, of course, going to discuss what are the problems with our defenders being out. Like, specifically, what is it that we are losing with them, especially Gavardio. That's the main one, to be honest with you, because it looks like he's out for the season. His season is over. That's incredibly frustrating. Does that mean that Manchester City's season is over, or is there something that we can mitigate to do that? Whether it's a signing or whether it's something in-house, we will be doing that and more today. Maybe like looking at, what were the key issues against Chelsea. Maybe I can whip out my tactics board again. We could have a look at the stills that I prepared for that game. And yeah, so in the first instance, I want to talk about what are the problems. In the second instance, I want to see if we can try to have a more proactive conversation about what can be done, if anything, because I don't know what the point would be to just spend like 90 minutes doing a doom and gloom of it's over and there's nothing we can do about it and this is why it's shit. It doesn't seem very productive. So of course we'll talk about the problems, but let's try to also think about, is there something that City can do in the meantime? Is there an in-house solution? Does this mean we have to attack the market in Jan? Is Gahey the answer? What's he going to offer if indeed we do bring him in, etc, etc, etc. So we're gonna it's gonna be there's gonna be lots of tangents in this stream because of the chaotic nature of the past few days and like the past week. I feel like certainly the last like 7 days or so, where we draw against Sunderland and then we draw against Chelsea, and then we haven't quite yet signed Semenyo, and now we might be getting Gahey, and now Gavardio's out for the season, and Diaz is out for a month as well. Yeah, exactly, Adrian. I haven't even spoken about that. So, many things. So, first of all, let's start, I guess, by leaving a like on the video. Ha-ha! Yeah, leave a like on the video, guys. No, let's start by going into the impact of the injury and why it's so shit, like beyond the surface level of it's obviously incredibly shit. The Gvardiol injury in the first instance is really shit for a number of reasons. But like the specifics of the injury, I don't, because I was calling for rotation. In fairness, like I remember like Kusanov had that really good second half against Brentford, and I was like, okay, now let's start him against West Ham, and it didn't happen. And rotational lack of rotation has been blamed as to why they got injured. Now, I can maybe see that for the Ruben Diaz one. I don't know what the minutes situation is. The Gvardiol one did just seem like a bit unfortunate. Like that didn't really seem to be like an injury. I don't know enough about it. It doesn't seem to be an injury necessarily related to playing too much. Like he broke his what did he break, his tibia or something, like in a contact situation. So I don't know how relevant that is as to rotation and whatnot. Maybe the Diaz one is different because it's a muscle injury, and I'm not a scientist, I'm not a physio, as you can probably tell, but I assume that that's the thing. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. I don't know how much of the Gvardiol one is to do with the fact that he wasn't really rested that much. Maybe Diaz is a different conversation, and in all honesty, I think that Kusanov probably could have had some more minutes than he has this season in place of Diaz. I wouldn't say the same for Gvardiol because there is no alternative to him, unfortunately. This is why, even though I'm not trying to downplay the sort of player that Diaz is or the season he's had, because he's had a very good season, but Diaz being injured for even a month or 2 months, I think City can get away with pretty easily without even having to look at reinforcements that much, unless there's like a knock-on effect of injuries. But if you're just talking about it from replacing one player with another, Kusanov coming in for Diaz isn't the end of the world. It's fine. He offers a lot of positive physical attributes, like we saw that against Delap, where he was like beating him for pace and he was beating him physically as well. Even though Diaz has been fantastic this season, the down, and it is a downgrade, but the downgrade from Diaz to Kusanov isn't that extensive. There's not too much of a problem there. We don't lose that much going from Kusanov to Diaz, for example. Sorry, from Diaz to Kusanov. We still lose a bit, definitely, because Diaz is a much better defender than Kusanov and a much better player than him, but it's something that is manageable. It's not a problem for me. However, the Gvardiol one is a loss that I can't even try to begin to quantify, although I will, of course, try to quantify, so I've just contradicted myself there. I would say that certainly, well, probably outside of Haaland, because he's a thing, I'd say that Rodri, Haaland, Gvardiol are City's 3 most important players. I don't know what order I'd put them in. I'd put Rodri at the top, and then maybe Haaland, and then Gvardiol. But I think you could actually make an argument that Gvardiol's City's 2nd most important player. He's certainly our 2nd most important player as to our Phase 1 situations in terms of build-up play, because he's the only defender who you look at, and I'm not dissing all the other defenders, obviously, but he's the only one you look at and go, yeah, he's not only good at build-up, because I think Kusanov is good at build-up, but he is like elite and world class and one of one and unicorn and absolutely ridiculous at it. So I would say that Gvardiol is one of our most important players, and there's a number of reasons for that. If we even think about set pieces as well, why have City been so good at, I mean, no, we haven't scored from one in a couple of games, I feel like, but generally speaking, we are now far much of a threat over the past few months than we were in the first couple of months. And why is that? Well, it's mainly because of Gvardiol, because he's our only, him and O'Reilly are, I guess now Rodri's come back into the side, but generally speaking, he was our only proper, consistent threat from corners, especially. So we've now lost that, unfortunately. Hopefully Rodri, O'Reilly can try to fill the void. Kusanov maybe hasn't played enough games to illustrate that he could be a threat from set pieces. That remains to be seen. But that's a massive weapon that City have lost as well. So now we are far less dangerous at set pieces. In fact, it was recent, wasn't it? It was literally the Nottingham Forest game where we scored from him being good in the air, because Foden finds Gvardiol, Gvardiol finds Shirky, we end up winning the game. So that was only a couple of games ago, wasn't it? So we've now lost that as a massive threat. Unfortunately, I don't think that is really That's not something that we can necessarily replicate with the players that we currently have. We have O'Reilly, who can be a bit of a goal threat as well. Can Rodri be that player also? Like, he can get into good areas. I don't know what his record is scoring from set pieces. I feel like it's not as high as it perhaps should be. It's not something I actually looked into, but perhaps I will need to look into it. So that's a massive thing that City have lost. Versatility is another thing that City have lost as well. I know we didn't win against Sunderland, but having Gvardiol being able to come on at left back and then being able to play at left wing / left inside forward, and he was one of our best offensive threats against Sunderland. That's a massive offensive weapon that has been lost as well, and just that versatility and utility of player also. So Gvardiol meant that you could easily still play Ake in the same side, but he also meant that you could easily play O'Reilly or Aït-Nouri in the side as well. Such is his freak profile. So we've lost a lot going forwards. We've also lost a lot defensively as well, because at centre-back this season, he's been fantastic defensively, generally speaking. That is a massive issue. Ake coming in, I guess, does help mitigate the offensive threat from set pieces, because we know Ake is good at set pieces. How long until he picks up another injury, though? All. And then the one thing that the biggest gulf between Ake and Gvardiol probably is their ability in those earlier stages of the game. And we saw against Sunderland that you put Rodri in the side, and combined with Sunderland dropping off a little bit, then City are able to be far more competent. But that's mainly because we have both Gvardiol and Rodri on the pitch at the same time, and they are freaks in their roles in build-up. So it's great to have Rodri back. Despite what we may think, he is only a human being. And I just am very concerned now that that problem that we've been experiencing all season is about to get even worse, because Gvardiol was a massive threat and a massive weapon in that sense. Even at the start of the season when, like, Rodri, I think it was against... Who was it? It was against Brighton. Speaking of Brighton, we're playing them tomorrow, aren't we? It was against Brighton. Rodri was on the pitch, but we still struggled. And I think that was because we didn't have a left-footed defender. More specifically, we didn't have Gvardiol on the pitch. So it's tricky. There's lots of these... Wait, Aït-Nouri's injured. What? Is this some sort of sick joke? Algeria, what are you saying? Algeria, what's going on? When was your last game, mate? When do they next play a game? I might need to do an Aït-Nouri injury scout along. When do they next play? Why can't I just see their fixtures, for Christ's sake? That's all I want to say. I'm going to go on FotMob. Algeria, fixtures. Equatorial Guinea. Did he play that game? I'm assuming not if he was injured. He did play the game. He came off at half-time. Brilliant. I'm assuming that's what the injury is. Today, Congo. And the FotMob predicted 11 doesn't have him in it, but that might mean literally nothing. When do they play? Tuesday, 6th of Jan, 4 o'clock. Okay, we'll find out then by the end of this stream whether Aït-Nouri is unavailable or not. It's an illness. Okay, we can deal with that. Good, that's fine. We'll pop him some fucking paracetamol up his anus, and he'll be as good as gold. He'll be as right as rain. He'll be as fit as a fiddle. He'll be ready to go. Yes, he'll be as merry as a mule. That's not a problem for me. We can do that. We'll jab him. We'll jab him with all of the fucking... What's the word I'm after? Antibodies, that's the term I'm after. We'll find out in 10 minutes, yeah. Right, okay. So there we go. I've lost my train of thought because I got distracted with Aït-Nouri there. So yeah, we're losing a heck of a lot with Gvardiol being out, and unfortunately, there's no direct way to replace that. I'd go even further, and I'd say that even if we said that you can have like a free transfer of like anyone, I don't think that the player actually exists because Gvardiol is Gvardiol. So there is no way to replace him, unfortunately. Certainly not in isolation. I can't really. Big up to you, Archie. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the Ultras Club. Big up to you, Archie. Thank you, matey. Welcome. Get a better profile picture, though, mate. That's an A. You know? And I know it says A, but I'm giving you an F. I'm giving you an F for innovation and creativity in profile picture. Sort it out. Big up to you, though, mate. And your random foot. Oh, this is one of the best polls ever. Zinedine Zidane. Look, no one's ever pulled him before. So big up to you. That's a massive one. And I believe that's in his Juventus kit, actually. So that was in the 90s when he was still playing for Juve. So big up to you, mate. But sort out your profile picture. Make it more interesting for me. Yeah? For my eyes, for my viewing peripherals. We cannot replace him. Exactly. A big W's to Archie. So, what can City do? What can City do instead? Because we know we have all these things. So like what are the main issues that we've outlined there? Set piece threats, utility and versatility, like certainly offensively, defensive solidity, and in my opinion, perhaps the most important, given the issues we've had this season, like on-ball specialism. That's what I'm going to say. On-ball specialism. So there's at least 4 different traits that we need to try to sort out there. I will bully people into profile picture changes, yeah. I will do that. So, how can we try to replicate those or mitigate it? And I don't know if we can actually do it, in all honesty. But there's a few things that we can do. The set piece threat, Ake does offer that. Now, this whole conversation becomes moot if Ake gets injured as well, and it's likely he will do that because now with both Diaz and Gvardiol out for an extended period of time, it means that right now, the only senior... Stones is also gone, isn't he? The only senior centre-backs we have at the club right now are Kusanov and Ake. Max, I don't know how to pronounce his surname, Elaine, perhaps? He's coming into the side as well. Now, I have no idea what the plan is with him. I don't know, of course. I suspect that Elaine, sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name, is not really going to be playing that much for us. I would assume that he's sort of like a last resort. He will like play cup games, whatever, and maybe every now and then he'll get some minutes. I'm thinking more of like a JSP situation. And in fairness, JSP did get a couple of starts. I don't think that he's going to come in and start games for City on even on a semi-consistent basis. That would be surprising. Stranger things have happened, but I'd just be a bit surprised. I'd just be a little bit surprised if that were the case, because it looks like we are linked with signing Gahey also. Thank you so much, Jack, for renewing your membership 5 months. And he says, Max Elaine is my best mate. And your random footballer. Oh, it's a good poll. Unfortunately, he is in his United shirt, though. It is Carlos Tevez. That's a good poll, though. That's 2 very good polls back to back. Zidane and Tevez. Can we keep the run going with whoever is the next random footballer? We shall see. So far, we've got Zidane, we've got Tevez. This could be a generational run, ladies and gentlemen. Elaine seems further along than JSP. Seems like he was well thought of. Yeah, definitely. So I'm not going to lie to you guys. If you think I've watched a minute of Watford, no. Unfortunately, you think way too highly of me. Now, we do have a Watford fan in the Discord server. Big up to Village. And, of course, if you look on Twitter, the amount of Watford fans who are very upset about us recalling him are... it's indicative of the level of player he is. So he's very highly regarded. That's very, very, very nice. This is me speaking to people who have watched him. As I understand it, he's both left-footed and right-footed, so he's got a very strong weak foot, so he's more than capable of playing at left centre-back, which is good, considering we've just lost Gvardiol, our best left centre-back. He's not necessarily a very good ball-playing defender, but he's a good ball carrying defender. Again, that's what I have been told, which is good. That's still good, because that still means you're able to get out of a press, whether it's via a pass or a carry, so that's not a problem. So that's still a phase 1 asset. He's obviously young, inexperienced. He was playing in the Championship. The step up to a Premier League side, in theoretically still in a title race, is upsetting. Nori starts for Algeria. Can get in. Big up. So you see that they listened in the period of time where I said that we need to be jabbing him up the booty with antibodies. They did it. So I want some of the credit for that, yeah? We need to get that trending. That's excellent, though, to hear. Well done. Excellent. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. So that's Elaine. I don't know how much football he's going to play, in all honesty, because he would be behind Kusanov. You'd assume he'd be behind Ake, and you would assume that if we did sign another player, and we'll get into that, then you'd assume he would be behind him as well, in which case we would have 3 senior centre-backs, and you would expect him to become 4th choice. Unless I'm massively misinterpreting the situation, and of course I perhaps am, we know that Ake's liable to get an injury very, very quickly. So I'm interpreting it more so as it's a fail-safe isn't the right word, but it's something that you can fall back on if you need to, so you're not just playing so you don't have to start Mafuni, let's say, immediately, who's clearly not in the same level of development. Otherwise we would have just promoted him outright rather than brought in Elaine. So I don't know how much he's going to help mitigate the Gvardiol situation outside of being a body to enable other players to rest, in the final few minutes of games and that sort of thing. Fenway, yeah. It's in my blood, okay, Fenway, it's in my blood. So that's that. So Ake can potentially replace a set-piece threat. Elaine at least replaces the fact that there are bodies, which is a thing. He's apparently both-footed. South Ake is apparently both-footed. The offensive work that Gvardiol can provide, when Aït-Nouri comes back, he will be able to offer that. So that's good. That's good for Aït-Nouri to come back after AFCON. I'm not being funny. Big up to Algeria, but I do need you to get knocked out now, because we sort of need our players back. I wanted you to do well, but you need to come back, please. He needs to come back. So Aït-Nouri offers some offensive work. Okay, good. That's nice. We know that O'Reilly can do it also. Ambipedal is the word. Yes. I think I mentioned that a few months ago. I said that seriously in a conversation. My family or friends or whoever I speak to just look to me you sicken me. You sicken me. What is that word? You've been online too long. I'm I'm sorry. But no, he is apparently 2-footed. I'm interested to see him play. I've never watched him play. I'm just always very cautious, because I used to fall in love with academy players. Not like that. When I was a lot younger as well, by the way, and I'd get really invested in them, and then they just wouldn't get close to the first team, or they would, and they'd just be moved on immediately. So I'm now very hesitant to get properly invested into youth players until I see them in the first team a number of times. Until then, I'm not willing to get properly invested into them, because I've been scarred too many times in that sense. So it remains to be seen for me, and I will wait for that. So Aït-Nouri coming in replaces Gvardiol's offensive function. There is no player who can replace his utility, really, because you can say, well, Ake can play left back, but that doesn't really help in the... Yeah, exactly, JJ. That's one of the players I'm thinking of, exactly. Brandon Barker was one of them. And a number of players before him as well. Big up to Johnson, for example. Although, to be fair, that was just because of an injury, wasn't it? Yeah, Ake coming in, he can't, be a left inside forward, for example. So that doesn't really help. Out beyond that, So just in terms of quality, like even without even talking about specific traits, there's just no player in the current squad who comes even remotely close to Gvardiol, unfortunately. Whoever that we targeted, or rather whoever we were going to target in the summer, because we were clearly going to go for someone, even if everyone was fully fit, like from now until the end of the season. Stones is going to leave on a free, obviously. Ake is probably going to leave. Even if he doesn't leave, you still need to bring in a player. So City should have someone in their sights for the summer. Whoever that player is, and it looks like it might be Gahey, but let's say it might even be someone else. Whoever the player is that we were looking to sign in June, July, I demand, not that I can make this demand, but I insist rather, propose. That player has to be signed now. It has to be fast-tracked. Unfortunately, this is last season all over again now, where whoever, and I don't know if we were going to sign them in January, but whatever, whichever players that we were looking to sign that summer, so the summer of 2025, I was saying in January of 2025, we have to sign them now and fast-track it. So don't do a panic signing. Sign the player that you were going to bring in anyway. And now we have to do that, definitely. Because we can't go for like 2 months, because if Diaz is out for 1.5 months, then it's going to take him a bit of time to get back up to speed with the side. So we can't go 2 months with our centre-back duo being Kusanov-Ake. That cannot happen. If that does happen, we are going to drop an insane amount of points as a consequence, I would fear. It's not like we've got easy games coming up. Who do we play? There's some tricky matches. So let's say that Diaz is fit and ready to go on like the 6th of March. Let's say he's out for 1.5 months, but it takes 2 months for him to get fully back up to speed and starting games properly. So when is that? So he would be back for the Nottingham Forest game at home on the 4th of March. But he would miss Leeds away, Newcastle at home, Fulham at home, Liverpool away, Newcastle at home, Spurs away, Galatasaray at home, Wolves at home, Bodø/Glimt away, United away, Newcastle away, Exeter, and obviously Brighton at home. We can't have Ake and Kusanov being our main partnership for all of those games and still pretend that we are in a title race. That cannot happen. Especially when half of those players is Ake, who is not reliable. Let me whip out his injury history. Jesus Christ. It's actually not as bad as I thought it was, but it's still bad. But it's not as bad as I thought it was. So this is since 18-19. Have a look. Look at that. Jesus, man. Every single season, it looks like there's a pretty significant injury. So 2021, massive injury. To be fair, nothing in 21-22. Then you got 22-23, a couple of injuries nearly out for 10 days. 23-24, only 4 days in fairness. And then, 24-25, just ridiculous, obviously. So we can't rely on him, is what I'm trying to say. Clearly. You can't have Ake representing 50% of your senior centre-back partnership. That can't happen. That can't happen, clearly. So we have to sign someone. And it looks like it's going to be Gahey, doesn't it? And we've spoken about Gahey before on this channel. I really like the signing as like a squad signing. I did, and still do, have questions about what does that mean for Kusanov longer term, what does it mean for Hayes longer term, even medium term as well. But this is, hopefully I've outlined how very obvious it is that City have to do something. They have to do something. And then if you bring in Gahey, now all of a sudden you have Kusanov, you have Gahey, Kusanov, Ake as your 3 senior centre-backs, and you've got Elaine as an option when Ake picks up another inevitable injury, and you can't just spam out Gahey and Kusanov for 2 months. So that's a thing, isn't it? That is a thing. So that has to happen. And then when Diaz comes back after a couple months, then you don't need to spam them both out. Then you can have... Then your main partnership becomes Diaz and Gahey, you would assume. Because Gahey would be... Well, he'd be second in the pecking order based on the players available after Diaz. And next season, he'd be third in the pecking order behind Gvardiol and Diaz, you would assume. So it makes a lot of sense in the short term. And it also makes a lot of sense in the long term. Again, where does that leave Kusanov and Hayes is a different question, because if you think about, I mean, it's going to change now because of injuries, but if you think about the amount of minutes that Kusanov has had even when he's been available, I would assume it's only going to go down, because Gahey would come in and he'd be third choice. So that means Kusanov's going to be fourth choice. And then what are we doing when Hayes comes in, who the club highly regard? What's happening with all these other players? Because Gahey isn't a player that you bring in to be a pure bench player. He's going to be someone who, of course, he's going to lose in fighting against Gvardiol and Diaz, but he's still there's going to clearly be an outright number 2 and an outright number 3, and then there's everyone else below them. You see what I mean? So it's going to be very tricky for these players below Gahey to try to break into the side, unless they're happy being an out-and-out fourth choice. And perhaps when Kusanov's, is he 21? Or I think he's 21 now, so he'll be 22 starting next season. He might be fine for a year, but like, what about when he's 23? And then we've got Vitor Hayes coming in, and he's going to be competing as well. What's going to be happening there? So the long-term implications are a thing, but right now we can't. I don't even know if we can even be thinking about long-term that much, like in respect of like how does it impact other centre-backs, because we don't really have that luxury right now, given all the given everything that's happened. Bar's gone, definitely. I've accepted that Bar is 100% just a money player. That sounds mean, but I think he's just a money player. Someone that we signed for like, what, 5 million quid. We'll probably sell him for 10, 15 million, and then and that'll be the end of it, unfortunately for him. Hayes is a different conversation. Looks like the club are very eager on him succeeding. So it will be which one of Hayes or Kusanov survives. I don't know what the answer is there. Hayes has got more time. I think Hayes is 19. We'll see. JSP, yeah. Well, JSP's. I've ruled him out in my brain as well. I think he's gone, definitely. Like, he couldn't. I don't know what the situation was at Celtic, but he was barely even playing for Celtic, wasn't he? He's gone out on another loan, hasn't he? Or another loan is being made. I don't know where he's going to. So that's a thing. Yeah, he's highly rated, Slime. I think we signed him for 5 million quid. There's no doubt we'll make money on him, but I think that is all it will be. I think he will just be a money signing, in all honesty. Apparently we didn't recall Hayes because it would derail Girona's season. Yeah, I wouldn't have been right to recall Hayes because he's still a teenager, isn't he? So he needs, and there's apparently like a long-term vision with him at City, so he needs the time to become the player he can potentially be. And what's the point of like recalling him from where he's playing consistently week in, week out to and learning and developing his game to where he's coming in here to just be a backup option, because he wouldn't be playing over Ake, he wouldn't be playing over Kusanov. If we signed Gahey, he wouldn't be playing over him either. And so that seems to be what we've brought in Elaine to be a backup option. So it wouldn't make any sense for me to do that for Hayes. So he needs a loan. We'll see what happens next season with Stones and Ake. Will he need another loan? Will he be our long-term Saliba? Perhaps that could be a thing. That'd be really cute if that could happen. There's certainly the potential there. Let us come to the chat for a second, and then we'll chat more about Gahey and what he could offer us if we did do that. Yeah, he probably could have played a bit more than he did last season, didn't he? I don't think we're going to lose to Diaz. I don't know what that means, Arab. Sorry. Because I think the two have very different ceilings, Flaws, and I think that, and to be honest, I'm not actually worried about Hayes. Like long term, I think that, look, it's hard to predict. I think that in like 2 or 3 years, my prediction would be that Kusanov won't actually be at the club and it will be Hayes there instead. So actually, if you want to frame it like that, I think I'm probably more worried about Kusanov. That's a prediction, of course. It might be well off, but that is my prediction, that it will actually be Hayes rather than Kusanov, who's playing for City in like 2 or 3 years' time. If Gahey doesn't come, are there any other options? Well, it's tricky because it's got to be a player who is like reasonably available. And to be honest, no, because I haven't really been contemplating centre backs because, and the main reason why I've not been contemplating centre backs is because I don't know. But this is before the injuries as well. I didn't know what the ceilings were, and I still don't know what the ceilings are. But I didn't know like what the vibe was around Hayes, around Mafuni, Elaine, all these young players that we have out on loan, etc., etc. I still don't. Kusanov we can throw in there as well. I don't know what the long-term vision is for these younger centre backs. It also depends on like what Ake's doing. We think he's leaving next season, but he's still got a year left on his contract, so he might stick around. We don't know. Maybe he will stick around, and if the club can convince him to just chill for another year and be a squad option, seems unlikely, but you never know. We don't know. So I don't know because I've not been looking into it, because I don't know what the situation is. Yeah, definitely agree, Musty. That makes sense. He wouldn't get much experience here, would he? Thank you, Jack. Hello, Herbal. I want to give both Hayes and Barr some years before I make up my mind, but I do believe we need to stop. Consider them as options, need quality and not projects, says Herbal. You got to have some depth, though, at some point. I think Barr's gone, though. I don't think that he was ever really going to be a thing. I think Hayes will, though. If City need a homegrown centre-back, why not target cheap homegrown centre-backs outside of England like Tomori? I don't think Tomori would be cheap, though, would he? I don't think he'd be that cheap. I used to be massively on the Tomori train, so big up to him. He still should have played way more minutes for England than he did. Yes, I agree, Fenway. I agree. Hello, Teasa. I want to order one of your hoodies, but I'm in the US and scared of the tariff fees being too high. Well, so I've had people order from the US before, Teasa. The shipping doesn't come from the UK. If you order in the US, it should come from the US because the company that produces the outfits has different factories in different countries. So there's a European factory, there's a US factory, there's an Oceania factory, etc., etc. So you should be fine. All the fees should be there when you go to checkout. I've had a fair few US customers, and not one of them said that I was hit massively by tariffs. So you should be good. You should be. I don't think you should get tariffs if I don't think the tariffs should hit you if it's I don't know how the tariffs work, but surely if you order from a US factory, you don't get hit by them because it's an external thing, isn't it? With the Trump situation. So I think you should be fine. I think you should be fine. Big up to you, though. Let me know which hoodie you want to order, matey. Let me know. I've been told, well, and I know, I've been told by you guys that the quality is, I'm not just saying this, is genuinely very good. They're not cheap. Buy cheap, buy twice. It is very good quality. We don't do fast fashion out here. They are very good quality. Yeah, Nobbins tariffs are insane. There's an 85% import fee that goes directly into my pocket, yes. Guardiola, here we go. Diaz hamstring 4 to 6 weeks. In my head, I'm saying 2 months. I'm just going, if it's any earlier than that, great. But I'm resigning to myself that I'm not going to see Diaz until March in my head. Stones, no idea. Brilliant. Yeah, so Stones is done, unfortunately. This Stones guy, man, it's such a shame. and it's all ifs, buts, and maybes. I really think that he would be regarded as like a top 5 centre back in Premier League history. If it weren't for all of these ridiculous injuries. Because when he's available and when he's consistently in the side, there's no one really better than him. But that's such a shame. Roma City fans wanted Diamandi. I never looked into Diamandi, to be honest. I know he was very highly regarded, but I don't know anything about him, to be honest with you. I don't know why he'd be on the bench either. I don't watch much sporting. Gahey needed now. If we were going to sign Gahey in the summer, I think you sign him now. Because I think someone earlier in the chat said, well, is he worth it? Because you'd have to pay extra, wouldn't you? Obviously, because he's a free transfer in the summer. Now, I don't know how it would work, but generally speaking, with a free transfer, that means the player gets like an extra signing on bonus. So does that get taken? I don't know how the inner mechanics of it would work. I don't know what the short-term commitment would be. If you sign him in Jan, you get him for February, March, April, May. So you get him for 4 months. So I don't know how much of a financial commitment is worth having a player for an additional 4 months. If we're talking about it from a purely financial, commercial, practical POV. Here's how I'm looking at it, though. I refuse, even though in my head, I'm really more and more thinking that City can't win the title. But in my heart, I refuse to accept that City can't win the title this season. I refuse to accept that we can't win something this season. Champions League, whatever. I think that we can still do that. I don't think we can do that with the players we have right now, though, because of the Gvardiol injury. I do think we can do that if we sign Gahey. Because signing Gahey in mitigates and fills the hole of Diaz, and now you have a back two of Diaz-Gahey, which isn't shit. It isn't shit, okay? It's not bad for that to be... That's a good centre-back partnership. That can win you something. So if someone says to me, okay, it's 40 million quid, and I might be over-egging it. I don't actually know what the financial commitment would be for a player who's only got a few months left in his contract. I don't know what it would be exactly. But let's say it's like 30, 40 million quid, that sort of thing. I do not know. I think that's worth it, personally. I think that is worth potentially changing the tide in and tipping the scale in City, in my opinion anyway, definitely not winning anything this season, apart from maybe an FA Cup or League Cup, and potentially winning a Premier League or a Champions League, or at least going deep into the Champions League. I think that is worth it. I think that is worth it, personally. Now, short term, it's unfortunate. If we were going to go for him, it would have been done for free in the summer. So it's an L that has happened, but needs must sometimes. And I criticised Arsenal last season because I felt they had a loser mentality by not signing a forward in January when they were still in the title race. You know what I mean? So I got to hold City to the same account, to the same account. I felt Arsenal should have gone for a forward in Jan last season. They didn't. They got more injuries. They failed to do so. They were still in the title race. We're still technically in it. It's only 6 points in it. And 3 of those we are in control of. So if you think that there's even a chance that we can win the title, or if you think that it significantly increases our chances of significant silverware this season by going from a Gahey-less squad to a Gahey squad, then that is something that we have to do, in my opinion. So I need to see it. And I totally do agree with the thing that Fenway's brought up there. That is obviously a sticky situation, but I'm trying to just look at it from a footballing POV. But I do agree that from a moral perspective, it's not ideal. Is it bad to get Laporte back? That's done, I'm afraid. Love that from you, Tayasa. Hello, Toby. How are you? Not enough left-foot defence at the club. Well, Gahey's not left-footed as well, by the way. That's important to note. But I did see something. Big up to this account. I think I told you guys to follow this account on Twitter. He's the second most two-footed centre-back in the Premier League, statistically, something like that. Big up to Gradient Sports. I follow them on Twitter. Among all centre-backs in the Premier League this season, Gahey is the second most, quote, two-footed centre-back. 71% of his passes, crosses, shots, and clearances are with the right, third, and 29.1% with his left. He does play at left centre-back, so he does have a strong left foot. He does have a strong left foot. He plays at left centre-back. And when we were linked with him like a couple weeks, months ago, I don't know who is first, actually. It's a good question, Yash. I do want to know who is first. Yeah, who's first? Someone's commented. And someone's asked, is it Joško Gvardiol? He's not said, though. I'm going to leave a comment. Who's first? There we go. If I get a reply, I'll let you know. But I've asked the question. It's a thing. So that's good. And that's the thing as well. Gahey is very good on the ball. If you're a member of the channel, I can't remember what tier you have to be, but we did do an off the cuff analysis of Gahey. And he is very good on the ball. So that would be a positive, and he would be able to help us. He's no Gvardiol, and he's no Stones, but he's better than Diaz, and he's probably better than Kusanov as well, and he's a lot better than Ake. So it would be an upgrade as for our current senior options. There's no doubt about that. That home kit looks a bit standard to me. I don't know. I've got no opinion on that at all. It's hello, TJ. It's great to be optimistic with the current conditions. I have to agree. Things are looking grim, especially with player fatigue and the bare bones defense still in top 4 competitions. Hey, indeed, that's why we've got to pull a trigger on someone. It doesn't have to be Gahey. It has to be someone who we were looking at longer term. You know what I mean? So there we go. That's a thing. I think people are doing too much to try and say we aren't in good form. We haven't been outplayed in our last 2 games. It just seems in Arsenal tight games, they get away with it more. Yeah, and I don't think the City have turned to like shit in the past 2 games. Like at the end of the day, we haven't lost a game in the league since November. We haven't lost a game since November. So it's not like we've just turned into absolute dog shit. Yeah, and the Sunderland game was a massive, what the hell is going on with these finishes? How did Haaland not score? How did Savio not score? How did Gvardiol not score? Like that was an isolated incident. So yeah, it's not like we are shit now. I'm just thinking more about the longer term because this is why the injury is so annoying to me, because I really felt that with Rodri coming back into the side, and if we're able to keep everyone relatively fit, I really felt that we had a great chance to win the title this season, because you never know when you've got these players in the side. You never know. But unfortunately, that hasn't happened, because we needed a lot of luck to go our way this season, I felt like, because we're not the favourites. That's reasonable to say. So we did need a bit of luck on our side. Yeah, who's first? I've asked the question. I will let you know if I get a reply anyway. Someone asked a question, he didn't reply to them, so I will do that. It was my birthday. Big up to you, Tahiti. Excellent work. Having a birthday. Love that from you, matey. Let me know what prezzies you got, if any, or what you got up to. Shut up, Toby. Yeah, exactly. Oh, gosh. AI says Diaz is the most two-footed centre-back in the Prem. AI, guys, come on. Come on, man. Bloody AI. Hashtag no to projects. What does that mean, though? I don't know. I don't get what that means. Because, like, respectfully, Leroy Sane, because this is the name that anyone ever goes to. Leroy Sane was a project player. He wasn't a finished article when we signed him from Schalke. He was a child. Hello? I don't know what that means. If you don't sign... If you get rid of all project players, then... How do you get the players before they become players that you can't sign? Like Barcola, for example, or Doué. Is he? Were they not project players at PSG? Phil Foden, yeah, Phil Foden. Is he not a project player? Now you can say no to too many projects. That's not a problem, but just like generally, that's a very weird thing, because you're missing out on a lot. Doku, do we not think that he has now been, has he not been one of our best players this season? Shirky, great example. Yeah, Shirky isn't the finished article. He's a good player. Is he not a project player? Yeah, Doku, exactly. Doku is the definition of that. So, okay, we say no to projects. Okay, so we don't sign Doku. We don't have Foden. We don't have Shirky. We don't have all of these... we don't have O'Reilly, yeah? We don't have all of these fantastic players. You mean right now? Okay. Right. Well... Even now, if you want a right back, you're probably going to have to go down that route. So... You know what I mean? It's a very... I'd suggest it's a very foolhardy hashtag. Injuries are worrying. Absolutely, they are. Absolutely, they are. Luck was on our side with our lack of squad depth and just pushed it into the red too far on some of the players. Can we sacrifice tomorrow's match to give some players a rest? It's just annoying because I would have rather have lost against Chelsea and kept Gvardiol. Like, that sounds an obvious thing to say, but I just can't be arsed with him being out for so long. Slime. Brilliant. I got from at least 6 City shirts, most of them from United and Liverpool fans. That's very kind of them, Tahiti. That's very lovely. Excellent work, matey. Love that from you. Spartacus says, we have no fit centre-back in the club at the moment. Ake's playing with injections in his knee. Kusanov had a knock, and the rest we all know. How are we in a worse situation than last season? Oh, gosh. No to drugs, no to drink. What the hell, large slime? Yeah, exactly. There is a balance. Don't sign too many all at once. You can't have a whole squad of them and still expect you to do well. But you need projects in a squad to succeed. Sometimes you have to do that. Definitely. And again, the right back example is a fantastic one. I don't believe, unless outside of Livramento, who it looks like just isn't coming, and even if he were going to come, he's getting a very upsetting, questionable injury history. Who is the option at right back? Who isn't a project player, i.e., someone who can't come in right now and be an elite option, but could do a good job and become that player? I don't know if there's one that exists right now. So we are probably going to have to pursue that. Hopefully in the summer. Hopefully that's something that we do. It's LB's fave hashtag, so I just use it. It's a bad hashtag, I'm afraid. It's a stupid hashtag as well. I'm afraid to say love LB, but that's a pretty stupid hashtag. I'll be real. Ake's also arse. Chill. I mean, he is, but chill. You can't say that. Only we can say that, yeah? Only we can say that. Where's that been confirmed from, Victor? It doesn't surprise me, but where's that been confirmed from? Because Gvardiol has got all the goals with his right foot, so it does make sense. But where's the confirmation from? Let me know, because I'm interested in that. I think they will both leave in the summer, yes. Pep said Nico is fine. That's good. That's very good, yes. Lovely, lovely. Maybe we'll play like a Rodri, Nico, Foden midfield. That would be nice. At some point, I would like to see that. That's probably our best midfield three this season. I'd like to see. The question will be, can Nico replicate enough of what Bernardo does? I think he can. I'd like to see it. If he can't do it, he can't do it. But I'd like to see it given a go, because I think he could. In fact, there was a game where Nico did it. What was the game? We were at home. I think it was West Ham. Was it West Ham at home? And I think that day we actually played a full-on double pivot. And we had Bernardo left defensive midfield. And we had Nico right defensive midfield. And we had Shirky right wing. And Nico was doing all of the work for... he was doing all of the work for him. And you had Ryan as advanced. So I think it was... I think that happened this season. Where Nico basically did what Bernardo's been doing this season. Oh, sorry, I meant with Shirky, guys. Yeah, I know he played as the 8 against Bournemouth when he scored. I meant more like the defensive work to help out with Shirky. I think that happened, though. I'm going to double check the lineup. I think that happened. No, guys, I'm talking specifically about the integration with Shirky. I'm talking about what Bernardo's been doing this season. Yes, it was West Ham at home. Bernardo was definitely left central midfield, left defensive midfield, and then you had Nico right defensive midfield. I'm sure that happened. I did a bloody analysis video on it. I should know that, shouldn't I? I think that happened. I'd like to see it tried. Musty, I'm gonna punch you. Oh dear. Would you sacrifice 2 seasons to set up for 5 years of dominance again? I personally would. I can be patient. We're clearly the second best team in the league while rebuilding. It's just hard to see the future. It's hard to predict the future, isn't it? That's the only thing. Hello, Nintendo. How are you? Yeah, Ake, to be fair, has always played well against Saka, which is... He has always played well there. It's a thing. I don't know, Ado. I don't know. Get a better profile picture, maybe, and I'll sort you out, yeah? Rodri left said, shut up, Spartacus, shut up. 30 game beating streak. Okay, chill, Alex. Chill. We might need to, Fenway. We might need to. I just don't know. Yeah, Semenyo coming in helps a lot defensively, as I will explore more in the analysis video. But if you saw, against Chelsea, and sadly I rewatched the Chelsea game, and from around the 55th minute, maybe a little bit before then, we didn't bother to try to play through Chelsea's press. We just opted to play over it. Now, it technically worked, and I felt that was actually Donnarumma's best game on ball. There were still negative knock-on effects because it meant that we were speeding up the game. And in my opinion, we were very tired, and we couldn't keep up, and we didn't have options on the bench. Now, maybe with players coming back and the option for rotation, and Semenyo coming into the side, maybe that becomes far more viable, in fairness. Maybe that becomes far more viable. But maybe like losing Gvardio, do we just try sack off even more so the trying to build out from the back? Do we go against our identity even more so and try to just find outlets in Semenyo and Haaland? I still have massive concerns about that. I still don't think our midfield is built for that. but it's a thing. It is a thing. Chill on Schlotterbeck. Chill on him. He's left-footed. Chill, chill, chill. How likely do you think we get Gahey? I'm going to say it's 50-50. And that, to be fair, you can apply... That is the rule of statistics, yeah? It either happens or it doesn't. Everything is 50-50. And that is... And I've got a GCSE in stats, so I'm right. That's definitely wrong. That's not how it works. But it's fun to think about it like that. Right now, yes, we are going to be live on Twitch tonight, returning to... We haven't done Cork since before Christmas because of New Year celebrations and whatnot and Christmas celebrations. So yes, in theory, of course, if like Semenyo gets Here We Go'd, then I will need the time to finalise my video. I don't know what's happening with Semenyo though. It looks like he's now playing against Spurs, which is good for me. It gives me more time to work on my video. But at the same time, like, it has to happen though, yes? Because I spent many hours on this video, so it better bloody happen. I definitely agree. And this is the annoying thing as well. Unfortunately, we're only going to be able to rest one of them against Bournemouth. And I don't even know if we're going to be able to... Brighton, sorry. I don't even know if we're going to be able to do that. Ideally, at least one of them gets rested tomorrow, ideally. And we just play Doku and play Reinders in their position. We'll see if we're able to do that. Diamond Press is killing foes and leaving Bernardo out of position. Yeah. Watching Don pass to Kasav, then Kasav send it long was a tough watch. Don at centre back, but he's so cute, it's fine. And I'll repeat, the Casanov's long balls were not bad. Like, I think he did 4... I counted like 4 of them. And 2 of them were really accurate and they were good and they did lead to a good chance. And you could definitely make the argument that if City take their chances, then you go 2-0 up and then you can defend and it's whatever. But it's the fact that we kept doing it even as late as like the 80th minute when it clearly wasn't working and our attacking players were clearly shitting the bed. That was the only problem for me, is that we just had to keep doing it. So it wasn't like, oh, we'll do it for now and if it doesn't work, we'll stop. We kept doing it even though it clearly wasn't getting the desired end results because the attacking players weren't good enough. Like Shirky and Foden, we've discussed, were not good enough. So, and then it leads to more exhaustion because you're playing it long, you're losing the ball, or best case scenario, you play it long, you get the ball, but then you have to attack quickly, and then if you don't score, you lose it quickly because your attack has to be quick, so your shot has to go off or your pass has to go off quickly. It's still the same end result. You're losing the ball quicker, which means the other team gets the ball quicker and they're able to control the ball quicker. It's why I don't like long ball football as a consistent weapon. It's okay to use it occasionally, of course, but with this squad, it's not really ideal. This is why Semenyo makes infinite sense. This is why Anderson makes infinite sense. This is why Reinders does not make sense. This is why Marmoush does not make sense. The squad buildings, I've not been happy with the squad building over the past couple of years, and I can excuse some of the post-treble stuff because you just won the treble. You want to move on players, but it's tricky to do so because they've just won the treble. So do you gamble on another year? Blah, 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 blah. So I can half forgive that to a degree. And we did win the title after the treble, in fairness. But the stuff that we've been doing over the past year or so is just very haphazard. I understood the Marmoush signing at the time. I understood the Reinders signing at the time. And I guess, like, Aït-Nouri as well is one. And I guess Aït-Nouri still works as well. But in hindsight, Reinders, what's that all about? In hindsight, Marmoush, what's that all about? There were good signings at the time, but Marmoush does not work, especially, and this is bizarre that I'm talking about it through the lens of the goalkeeper, but I think I have to. If you sign Semenyo instead of Marmoush, then I'm nowhere near as negative about my Donnarumma situation. If you sign Anderson instead of Reinders, I'm nowhere near as negative about the Donnarumma situation. I just don't think the squad building's been especially competent or planned. I don't think it's been well planned. I think that's what I'm trying to say. They go for one thing and then they go for another. Maybe it'll work out long term, but certainly now it's very what's the term? Like rapid fire? Just all over the place. Don't know. Thanks, mate. Love that from you, Ironman. That is stats with Nobbins, yeah? Bournemouth trying to squeeze as many games out of him as they can before they have to let him leave by the 10th. His attitude has been very good considering the sort of attitude we want. Definitely, Inkster, definitely. So yeah, looks like the Spurs game will be his last one. In fact, did Musty put a thing about that? Semenyo's final game for Bournemouth before his move to City will be against Spurs on Wednesday night. That makes sense. So when... Predictions, guys. When are we getting a here we go? When are we getting a here we go? Haphazard, yes. Scattergun. That haphazard is also correct, but I was after scattergun. Thank you. Thank you, AK. Guys, predictions in the chat. When are we getting a here we go? If the final game is on Wednesday, I'm going to say that maybe we'll get a here we go on the... Would it be the day after? Or do you think it'll be on the day? I reckon Thursday at the earliest. Toby, I need a here we go so I can upload my fucking video. For algorithm purposes. Yeah? I know he's coming, but I'm not going to bust my balls to get the video out today. Because we're not going to get a here we go surely before the game. I want to release it when we get in and around the time we get a here we go for the algorithm, yeah? Because the last couple of analysis videos I've had to do like a week after we signed them because of how fucking rapid the signings seemed to be, and we were doing all of them at once. This one I've actually had a bit of time to do it. So this video was scripted like last week. So and that's one of the hardest bits to do, so that's good. I don't like what I've seen from Viana so far, in all honesty. I don't like what I've seen. Allegedly, Reinders was his absolute number one. And I liked Reinders as a signing at the time. I felt it made a lot of sense. But in hindsight, in my opinion, it's not the right signing, really. And it should have been an Anderson type. It should have been a Bruno G type. It should have been a Bellingham, Rice type. Has Aka been linked to Palace, asks Eden. I feel like some sort of swap deal will be mutually beneficial. I don't think he has been linked. I don't know, though. But yeah, scattergun was what I was after. You guys think Wednesday after the Spurs game, before the game? Goodness me, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? If we get a here we go before, when we're still playing games for them, maybe. I don't know. I guess we've seen it before. Thursday. Why don't we recall Vitor Hayes? Because we'd be disrupting his entire season. And I know it's not a problem necessarily because you could just unregister Kovacic or Gvardiol because they're not really going to play. But if memory serves, we are at capacity for the Champions League for non-homegrown players. I'm not saying that would be a problem because you could just not register Gvardiol / Kovacic if they're like out for the whole season, let's say. That's maybe a factor as well, though. That's maybe a factor. Thursday reconcilable. Who cares? I care for my bloody video. Yeah? Irela said Antoine is playing tomorrow. He suspects this. Yeah, it will be his last game, definitely. It's got to be because allegedly, his release clause expires on the 10th. So we've got to obviously get it sorted before then. That's got to be a thing. Shut up, Toby. Why? Well, the Reinders one, because realistically, the midfielder that you want to partner that goalkeeper is one who is excellent at the duels, is excellent at second balls, is excellent at loose balls, and is excellent in respect of just being a monstrous space eater and a runner. What I've described there basically is Declan Rice. That is the mould of player that would perfectly complement that goalkeeper. Whereas Reinders is not a player who thrives in scenarios where you go long and now all of a sudden there's a second ball battle in midfield. That's what I mean by that. I don't think that they are linked to one another necessarily. And this is why I thought, I don't know. I don't know what I thought. Isn't that Rodri, though? I mean, Rodri is Rodri, yeah, but there's only so much he can do. You need more than just one player. If you've got a midfield three, you need more than one player to be able to do that. And it can't just be a defensive midfielder. You need your number 8s to do that as well. You need, and even though I've been really enjoying Foden this season in the number 8, and I think that he's done a very admirable job off ball and out of possession. Like, I think it's been beyond what I could have anticipated and hoped for in the middle. He's still not the player that I want to be playing there for that reason. It needs to be a Rice. It needs to be Anderson. It needs to be Bellingham. It needs to be Bruno Guimaraes. That ilk. It needs Onana. That is the player that it should be. Being harsh. Again, I like Ryan. By the way, I'm not having to go at Reinders the player. I like him a lot. But I promise you, Reinders will never become that player. This is nothing to do with he just needs time to become a second ball monster. That's just not the sort of player he is. That's not the sort of player he ever will be. That's not the sort of player he needs to be either. And I like Reinders. Go watch my analysis video. I defended his lack of high volume defensive actions because I argued that, well, City mainly defend with the ball, so it doesn't matter. And also he's good at intercepting anyway. See, he's not good at winning in the air. He's not very good at tackling, but we don't need that. That was what I presented in the video. But that's now not what we need from our midfielders in order for us to succeed long term, in my opinion. So we will see what we see. We'll see what we see. But that's the reason why I was able to justify his lack of defensive acumen, because he didn't need it in a squad where the whole point is that City defend with the ball and possession is key and retaining the ball is key. Who cares if you don't have a second ball monster or sorry, multiple second ball monsters in the midfield? You can cope with just one. But if you play like this, I don't think you can. So Rodri isn't enough. That's why we are linked strongly with Anderson. That's why we were strongly linked with all these other players also. That's bad though, isn't it? Ultimate. I need my signings to be planned. Tijani's a 10. Well, he doesn't describe himself as a 10. He describes himself as a box-to-box player, and he never really played as a 10 for Milan. He played there sometimes, but he's mainly an 8. That's mainly what he is. Can Nico do that job? Perhaps he could. And that's why I've certainly this season, I think we need to see Rodri and Nico in the midfield. I think that has to happen. That has to happen for me. I don't see another world in which that's not the best option. The problem then is if you're playing them both consistently, then you can't really rest them, can you? So I don't know. Maybe it'll only be for the biggest games or whatever. But yeah. And then if you look at your midfield, so let's say we sign Anderson, all of a sudden now you have a far more viable midfield. So now I'm not viewing the Reinders signing as an all-round midfield signing, as I thought he was going to be. I'm now viewing Reinders as a more 8/10 signing rather than he could sort of do a bit of everything. So if you think about in our 4-3-3, generally speaking, you got one defensive midfielder, you got one more general midfielder, you got one more slightly more advanced midfielder. So now your number 6 becomes Rodri, your 6-8 options become Anderson and Nico, and then your more advanced 8 options become Foden, Reinders. So you got 5 players vying for 3 positions, and then you got up depth in O'Reilly and Lewis, who can also play there. So that one signing, I think, can massively resolve a lot of our midfield issues. Of course, it depends on Rodri being fully fit. And then Nico can play when Rodri's not available. And then you can have a midfield like Nico, Anderson, Reinders, or Nico, Anderson, Foden. You can have Rodri, Anderson, Nico. You can have Rodri, Nico, Foden, all these other varying combinations. It is crazy, yes. I said it's a massive risk. It still is. It's proven to be a massive risk. So far, the payoff hasn't been worth it. We will see. Hopefully, it does become worth it. We will see. Onana is trash. I don't want to just base it off individual games, but like, did you watch him against us? Hello? Recalled Elaine as an option. Him being homegrown at the club makes it a lot easier to register in the haste. It's a good point beyond. Yes. Excuse me. Planning signs we don't do that here. Shut up. We'll never play a double pivot under Pep consistently, in my opinion. Pep will not do that. I don't think Pep is up for that. Has he ever done that? Has he ever done like a pure, true double pivot midfield? Like really? Really? With like two proper DMs? Don't think he has. And the closest it's ever been has been Rodri and Gundogan. But that's like a number 6 and a number 8. So I don't know if he's ever going to do like two proper options in defensive midfield. I'd be very surprised at that. Hello, Raj. How are you? Or Rajdeep. The Bruno train has left the station. I'm afraid that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. What about Shirky? Oh yeah, look, unless Shirky massively develops as a midfielder, I'm viewing him as a player to play on the right. Personally, really, I'm not right now. I struggle to view Shirky as an option, as not out of possession midfielder. So I'm looking at him as a forward player, really. So I'm not really considering. Now, who knows what will happen? He's very young. But even if he could become that player, I still don't know if it's optimal for him. I want Shirky. I don't want him to be dicking around, running back and forth. I don't think you turn Shirky into a box-to-box number 8. That doesn't seem right to me. He hasn't got the physical attributes to do that, in my opinion. And even if he did gain them somehow, I don't think that he would. I don't think it would benefit. What's the benefit of him being? What's the benefit of him doing that? All you're doing is taking him away from the areas of the pitch where you want him to be, which is further up the pitch. It just seems pointless to me to do that. If anything, you want Shirky to have less responsibility off ball, and you do that by playing him at right wing. You don't do that by playing him as number 8 in midfield. So you should be, in my opinion, you should be playing him where there's less defensive burden, and that's at right wing in a 4-3-3, which is how we have been playing him. So yeah, that's a thing. It looks like we're going for Anderson rather than Wharton, to be honest. I've been live for another 12 minutes, by the way, chat. We've now descended into just talking about whatever we want to talk about, by the way. That just happens naturally on this channel. We start with a topic and then we just evolve into whatever we want to bloody talk about. And that's reasonable. That's reasonable. We can do whatever we bloody want. You know what I mean? We can do whatever we want. Yeah, that would be an L. I agree, Herbal. I don't think, because I think Mussy just said it here. I did not like when Shirky was going really deep to pick up the ball, because Shirky does not have to be a high volume touch player. Some players are like that. Some players are, you get the best out of them if they have a lot of the ball. But Shirky is a player who doesn't have to be touching the ball all over the pitch to have a great game. He can just have a couple of touches in the final third, and he's got an assist, or he's got a goal, or he's done something majestic. And you are right, Musty. He was, and that's something that I pointed out in my video. I don't really like when he drops really deep. And perhaps he did it for Lyon because he was the best player for Lyon, so he had to do it in order to construct attacks. But he doesn't have to do that right now, because it's also not like he's a player where he starts deep, and I'm not saying that he's slow or anything, but he's not got this supreme engine on him where you want him to be picking the ball up on the edge of the box, and then you attack quickly, and then he's charging to attack the box. You don't want him to be playing box to box. Really, you're making him waste his energy, and we saw what happens when these players get fatigued against Chelsea. They're not able to make the correct decisions in the final third because they are so tired. They're exhausted, whether physically and mentally. So I don't want him to be doing that, and it does look like Pep is trying to move him away from that. That's not the same as saying he can't sometimes drop deep to like disrupt a man-to-man press or just add another +1 to our build-up, but generally speaking, do we all agree that Shirky, outside of De Bruyne, is the best creative attacking midfielder in the world? That's certainly in respect of like pure passing chance creation. I would suggest the answer is yes. You don't do that by playing him deep. You do that by playing him how we have been playing him. Start him at right wing, give him access into the centre, which is exactly what we have been doing. And so I'm more than happy with Shirky's continued usage, where he plays at right wing off ball, but he plays in attacking midfield on ball. I think we should continue doing that. And it's working as well. It's working. The Chelsea game was an outlier. He had a bad game. Okay, it's fine. But nearly every other game where he's been used like that, he's played really well. So it's not a problem for me. If anything, it's very good utilisation of him. Algeria, Congo, Watchalong, shut up. Both homegrown trash. Well, they aren't, first of all, BM+. But the second thing to note is, do you understand what our homegrown situation is? Do you understand how close we are? If you sign Bruno G and Pavlovic, you can't do that, actually. No, scratch that. You can't do this, literally. You logistically cannot do this. Even if you, move on Kovacic. Because right now, we are 17 out of 17 in the Champions League. So you physically cannot do this. Actually, no, you could. I take that back. If you sold Kovacic and Bernardo, you could. Take it back, you could. But then you won't be able to sign anyone else. At all. Like anyone. There's no other sign. You can't bring in another right back. Unless they're homegrown. That's then going to introduce a problem if you want to incorporate Vitor Hayes at some point. So I guess short term you could, if you move on Kova and Bernardo, which we are probably going to do. But then you are capped. There's literally no other signings you can make at all, unless they are homegrown, I guess. And then at that point you are walking a tightrope. Yeah, there are certain situations, but generally speaking, he shouldn't be doing that. Shirky plays a 10, but he can't do it off ball. He literally is playing as a 10 right now. I still don't think people understand this. He is literally playing as a number 10 right now. He's just starting at right wing off ball. He's playing in attacking midfield when we move into an in possession shape. So he is literally playing in attacking midfield. You get me? Sunderland didn't work. Yes, it did. He created a massive chance in the game. What? Shirky was excellent against Sunderland. Hello? What are we doing? What we doing? Shut up, Toby. What is that? Oh, Algeria. I'm so confused. It's his first season. I expected some dips in form. Some of the fanboys will not have any criticism of him, though. They save all of that for one player in particular, says Metallic. I don't know what that means, sorry. I feel KDB would have been perfect for the Chelsea game compared to Shirky. Well, KDB's KDB, isn't he? Would have been better if we brought Simpson Pusi instead of Elaine. I don't know. I reckon Nori gets in the side instead of O'Reilly. Nico's been quite poo recently since he's physically and mentally exhausted. We're just talking about anything right now, really. In what order does 10 receive on the ball? And there's only been one game where Shirky's played on the touchline. That was against West Ham. Every other game, it's either been Nunes as the right-sided outlet or it's been Bernardo as the right-sided outlet. There's only been the only game I can really recall is that West Ham one, and he was man of the match that day. So that's the thing. It's not true, Valve. It's not true, I'm afraid. Go watch my analysis video if you'd like. Need a homegrown player, sign Tomori or Lloyd Kelly at centre-back. Greenwood at right wing. Yes, I would love to sign a sex offender at right wing, BM+. And that also doesn't help with the right-back situation either. Let's not sign a rapist, shall we? Let's please not sign... Please, guys. I draw the line at rapist. I draw the line at rapist. Come on. What are we doing? What are we doing here? What's going on? Why not go all out for Van der Ven? Because he's injury prone and non-homegrown. Probably wouldn't help. I have a question for you. Is this going to annoy me, Toby? Is this going to annoy me? Who is Yaya Toure when Declan Rice walks in? Oh, shut up, Toby. Shut up. Yeah, guys, we're not signing. No. The fact that that's even a suggestion is literally disgusting, guys. What we doing? What's happening? What is occurring? Come on. Do we have? Yeah, what is going on? What is going on? It's also like low-key. I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's not a very good topic, but it's high-key disgusting how much motion he's been getting from people like Romano, who are clearly being paid by his camp to prop him up. It's pretty disgusting, to be honest with you. Like it's vile. It's pretty vile. Shut up, Floss. Oh my god. Confusing Sunderland with West Ham? No. West Ham was the only game where he was exclusively playing at right wing. I can promise you on that. I can promise you on that. Who do you think can replace Yoshko and Diaz? Well, hopefully Kusanov in the short term for Diaz. Yoshko, there isn't a player who can do that, unfortunately. I don't think he loves him. I think he loves his money. I think he clearly loves his camp's money. That's the only reason why he's doing it. That's the only reason why he's doing it. There's no other explanation, is there? There is no other explanation. It's just a little bit... Well, it's very disgusting. Yeah, Toby's a little fraud, Herbal. Elaine, long term, respectfully, I'd be very surprised if he was a City player long term. But I'm basing that off literally nothing. But that's just a prediction. Is there a way to solve the out of possession? Sign players who are more like that, I guess. I don't know. Oh, it sounds about right then, Jack. L for him. You can't be recommending... No, that's not a thing. You can't do that. Bring Lescott back, says Sachin. What's going on? Okay, fine. I'll respect him. Fine. God. Fine, he's going to become a world-class player, yeah? World-class. Last couple of questions, guys, because we've been live for 90 minutes now. So that is a thing. Do you think we make more than one signing in Jan? Yeah, it has to be. It has to be a centre-back. It has to be a defender. It just has to be. Definitely. We can't go... so we said at the start of the stream, we can't go 2 months. We can't go 2 months without... Sorry, we can't go 2 months without senior centre-back pairing being Ake Kusanov. We will not do very well if that is the case. No chance. I mean, even when... Okay, Diaz coming back, Diaz Kusanov, fine. Fine. But it's just not... Certainly in the short term, it's not enough. If Declan ever wins the Ballon d'Or, shut down the sport. What's for dinner tonight? We're having salmon. We're having salmon tonight. Bloody savage. What a dickhead. We won't sign a midfielder. Anderson is the player who we're probably going to sign, but how many times we said, like, Forest are not entertaining selling Anderson. They are not selling Anderson. They are in a relegation battle. Now, it's likely they will not get relegated because Wolves are so shit and Burnley are so shit, but they're only 4 points off the drop. And that's with Anderson in their squad. So if they sell Anderson, one of their best players this season, that could be the difference between them getting relegated and not. And they're not going to sell him on... I think they're just going to say, look, he's not for sale. Unless you want to give us like 150 million quid, something ridiculous, because it's the difference between survival and not. Or it could be anyway. And we can't do a panic signing. We can't do a panic signing either. Yeah, and maybe they will be fine without him, but it's perilous, isn't it? You're playing a tricky game there. You're playing a risky game, aren't you, by doing that? They're still in Europe. You know what? I totally forgot about that. But yeah, you're right. They are. What happened until the summer? Yeah, I think I agree, Beyond. Wharton, I like him, but I don't think he's a better fit. He could wait till the summer. He could. I mean, look, and if he doesn't want to do it, then maybe he doesn't want to do it. But I don't know. Maybe he can be convinced. It would require, obviously, it would require that. It would require a big stack, as you say. Right. Oh, here we go. This is a good question to maybe end it on. Favorite out of possession shape in football is a 4-4-2. Favorite out of possession setup this season from City specifically. We haven't really deviated that much. We introduced the diamond press from the Liverpool game, and then from there, it's just been Diamond City. Before then, it was the exact same in a settled shape, and it was basically the exact same, slightly higher up the pitch. The only difference was that it was a 4-3-3 in the higher phases compared to what it is now. And we've been experimenting, haven't we, with jumping fullbacks and Haaland going to mark the goalkeeper directly, and that's not worked. So I don't really know what my favourite is. I think the diamond can work. Semenyo coming in would help. That definitely would help. And an Anderson coming in would also help. Right now, it's tricky. Right now, it's very tricky. Yeah. It's a thing. It's a thing. It's a tricky one. Yeah, 4-4-2. That's my favourite out of possession. I wonder, like, could we go back to that? Maybe. Let's say you sign Anderson, for example, then you can have a duo of Rodri Anderson. And then Foden would be moved to probably as like the left striker. That could be a thing, couldn't it? That could be a thing. But we're persisting with 4-3-3/4141. So Pep clearly doesn't want to do it. Otherwise, he would have done it. He clearly thinks this can work. Otherwise, he wouldn't have persisted with it and wouldn't have tweaked it, whereby it's still a 4-3-3, but with a little tweak in the earlier phases for the opponent. So he must think it can work. Otherwise, he wouldn't keep doing it. We'll see. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching. Big up to you all for watching. Big ups to Archie and Jack for joining the club, joining the Ultras Club, or renewing your membership. Guys, if you would like to support my work, if you like my work, and if you are able to do so, then please consider supporting the channel directly by becoming a member of the channel. I love and adore all of my beautiful members, and you all get lovely exclusive videos every single month. You also get lovely live perks like a rat badge, you get a light's name, and you also get emotes in the chat to use as well. Look at how cute that is. So if you would like to do that, then please consider becoming a member of the channel. You also get involved in the Hall of Fame, which is passing by on your screen right now. So big up to everyone who supports the Patreon, ad-free viewing over there. Big up to everyone who supports the YouTube membership, live perks, but they both have exclusive content. I'll just do some comments as well as going through the credits. A 4-4-2 clears is pressing shape, considering the wings drop deep into midfield. I personally like the 4-4-2. Yes, I would agree. And I see you out of your shell. Is Gasky return on the horizon? It's tricky for Gasky because, unfortunately, his place of work, he's fine, don't worry, but his place of work has been doing a lot of redundancies recently, and there were basically two people in his department, and they were only going to keep one, and Gasky is Gasky. He's the Rodri of his department, so they kept him on, but it means that whereas before he had one day where he could work from home, and we were thinking, could we time a stream therein? Now he has no working from home days, so he's fully back in the office, which is an L, because he works in IT. Like, he's saying that he can't do some of those days working from home, so I think his place of work is a bit of knobs, to be honest. So it means that he's now just not available, I don't know, until like the earliest, like 7 p.m, and that's when I'm doing a Twitch stream, or that's when I'm doing something else. So the only way that it would have worked for us to rekindle the podcast would have been, like a lunchtime, that sort of thing when he's working from home. But that can't happen now, unfortunately. So the Knobcast for now is dead. Maybe at some point I can bring it back by, I don't know, doing whatever. But unfortunately, Gasky's got work commitments. He's also planning a wedding. And he's now living with his new lady, so he's got less time on his hands, and it wouldn't be a job for him either. It's not like this is my job. Like he would be doing it for free. So I don't really want to ask him to do that. Although he is coming on the live in person for the Manchester derby. So he is going to be here presently, sat next to me, for the Manchester derby at Old Trafford. So there will be Gasky on the channel, actually, now I think about it. Not in the form that is consistent, but even if it's only once a season, if Gasky's available for the game at Old Trafford, or if indeed it's like a cup game where we play them, then Gasky will be here. So there will be a United fan on when it is the Manchester derby. Hopefully we can... I think we've had good luck whenever Gasky's been on. I don't think we've ever lost a derby when Gasky's... Oh no, we have. That bullshit Bruno goal. Actually, yeah, which Gasky didn't celebrate because he was pissed off. He was as annoyed as me. Yes, we'll kiss, of course, yeah. Absolutely, we will. Last thing to say is that we will be live on Twitch, hopefully at around 7 p.m. tonight. So make sure to join me for that. It's just twitch.tv/LNobbins, and Jack has popped the message in the chat for you. Yeah, the one where Rashford was offside and Bruno scores, I think, yeah. If he can, but it's going to be... If it's a weekday, then he can't do it. But if it's a weekend and England play, then why not? Why not? It depends on times, depends on his availability. But yeah, absolutely. If you can, that'd be really lovely. That'd be lovely. Thank you so much. Brighton preview, either later today or tomorrow morning. I don't know when. Depends how much work I get done on the Semenyo video. But either way, stay tuned. Lots of content to come on the channel as always. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye.